as its duty to provide them with the rights. It is the public health system of Korea that not only gives the people the right to medical treatment when they are ill, but also realizes their desire to live long in good health. A clear proof of it is the section doctor system of Korea. Under the system, all people and all families have their doctors, and the doctors are responsible for the health care and treatment of diseases of the inhabitants and families in the sections under their charge. It is only in Korea where people have their doctors from birth and are under their care all their lives. Women scientists, women artists, women soldiers, sportswomen and other Korean women are making an active contribution to the development of society in all fields of social life, including political life, on an equal footing with men. This is the Pyongyang Maternity Hospital. This medical service complex ensures health of the women, including pregnant and parturient women. Some years ago, the Breast Tumor Institute, equipped with latest facilities, was built here, rendering best medical services to all women of the country free of charge.
Cuidado y amor que tienen ustedes por los niños, por las mujeres embarazadas.
Back home, we are going to tell about all things we felt here, about your sincere care for children and pregnant and parturient women, and your level of treatment. Medical equipment of the hospital and capabilities of all its doctors are really excellent. In Korea, unsparing state investment is made in public health establishments for women's health, and wonderful establishments for nursing and upbringing of children, and public health establishments have been built so that the women can conduct social activities without worry. Foreign visitors to this place say that women are specially treated in Korea. In Korea, it is a legal duty for the industrial establishments with women workers to provide them with the best living conditions. So, primary attention is paid to providing women with perfect working and living conditions.
The kindergarten is within the complex of the building. It's a great relief for the mothers. So I must say that your country can be proud.
Change is the airport. A new international terminal has been operating since June, built to welcome increasing numbers of visitors from overseas. Shiny and new, the facilities are pristine. But the volume of passengers remains low. Access is still incredibly difficult for business travelers and tourists alike. Other forms of transport, however, are much more crowded. Pyongyang subway is often held up as an example of the DPRK's modern advancements. The subterranean rail lines at 110 meters in depth are the deepest in the world. But the wooden carriages and Art Deco ticket halls appear a little old-fashioned, especially in comparison to what you might find in Seoul, Tokyo, or Beijing. Nonetheless, these tube travelers were very proud of the advances of recent years.
This year we made great achievements, such as completing the power station in the Mount Pak-2 area. We've built a new housing compound for scientists in the Pyongyang and a new cooperative vegetable farm in Yangchang County. This is what our great party and country have achieved.
The anniversary shows off the might of the Workers' Party founded by Kim Il-sung, led by Kim Jong-il, and now Kim Jong-un, and that we will continue the achievements of our great leaders.
Even simple things like an increase in traffic on the roads indicate that fuel shortages of the past have eased. Roadside street stalls and busy shops illustrate there's now some commerce and private enterprise. And widespread mobile phone usage points to an increase in wealth for many of the citizens in the capital. The Pyongyang skyline also suggests the city is undergoing substantial change.
That's it. Thank you, everyone. So this talk is about the status of women in the DPRK, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. So on January 30th, which was very recently, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's Institute of International Studies released a white paper called The White Paper on Human Rights Violations in the U.S. in 2017. When I read it, I burst out in laughter. It was like the DPRK was mocking the United States for making claims about the status of people in the DPRK, and yet the DPRK was telling the truth. The white paper pointed out all of the ways people in the United States are being exploited and attacked by the racist, patriarchal, capitalist, settler colonial state founded on genocide and slavery. As a relatively isolated nation, the DPRK is constantly attacked by outright lies in the Western media, sanctions on what it can export and import, which limits its ability to take care of its own people. It also faces constant threat of a nuclear attack by the United States, which keeps a large military presence ready to deploy nuclear weapons from its bases in South Korea and Okinawa. With the recent move to cooperate with South Korea, the United States has only ramped up its aggressive language against the DPRK. In November, a UN human rights panel was quoted as saying North Korean women are deprived of education and job opportunities and are often subjected to violence at home and sexual assault in the workplace. Recent pieces have also come out saying women and children are being raped and sex trafficked. This is the kind of news that tugs on the heartstrings of liberals and encourages so-called humanitarian intervention. The same humanitarian intervention that destroyed Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya. But how many more times will we tolerate here in the United States hearing these lies being told about countries the ruling class simply needs to invade to maintain full spectrum dominance around the world? Well, let me tell you what the CIA, the surveillance arm and terror arm of the United States government, reported about North Korean women in their CIA fact book. More women than men exist in North Korea. Women live to an average of 74 years old, which competes with the U.S. average of 79 years old for women here. According to the U.S. Library of Congress, again a U.S.-based agency, the social status and roles of women were radically changed on July 30th, 1946, when authorities north of the 38th parallel passed a sex equality law. After that, the 1972 Constitution asserted that women hold equal social status and rights with men. The 1990 Constitution stipulates that the state create various conditions for the advancement of women in society. According to the CIA, again, this is our agency, says that women make up 47% of the labor force. They are obligated to serve in the military from age 17 to 23. Women who have 3 or more children are permitted to work only 6 hours a day and still receive an 8-hour-a-day salary. So in North Korea, they are considered a low-income country, but they they are on par with developed countries when it comes to healthcare and education. So for example, their contraceptive rate for women between the ages of 20 and 49 is 78%. Meanwhile, in the United States, that number is 74%. And that's women here paying for contraception versus over there where it's free. The obesity rate in North Korea is 6.8%. Meanwhile, here it's 35% among men and 40% among women in the United States, according to the Journal of the American Medical Association. They actually have more beds per people in North Korea, and they are on par with South Korea, Japan, and Monaco. They have 13 beds for every 1,000 people versus 2.9 beds in the United States for every 1,000 people. Yeah. Hospital beds. They're about on par with their physicians' density, which means the number of physicians per 1,000 people. So in North Korea, it's 2.78 doctors for every 1,000 people, whereas in the United States it's 2.55 doctors for every 1,000 people. It's actually a little bit more than us here. So the fertility rate is 1.95 children born per woman according to a 2017 estimate in North Korea, and that's about the same for women in the United States now. And the literacy rate for anyone 15 or older, 100% of people can read and write, and we can't say that here in the United States. Everyone goes to school up until the end of high school, and that's mandatory, and it's not the case here in the United States. And they make it easy to go to school too. The fact is that the Korean War never actually ended. After losing 20% of its population and seeing their landscape decimated in the 1950s because the United States attempted to destroy a people's republic, the DPRK emphasized healthcare. Between 1955 and 1986, the number of hospitals in North Korea grew from 285 to 2,401. The number of clinics grew from 1,020 to 5,644. That's a five-fold increase. There are even hospitals attached to factories and mines. In spite of all the sanctions and the constant threat of nuclear war, North Korea has built and provided a healthcare system that benefits women. It has been described as being the envy of the developing world. According to the World Health Organization Director General Margaret Chan, North Korea, quote, has no lack of doctors and nurses. North Korea's government provides universal health care for all of its citizens, and in 2001, only spent 3% of its gross domestic product on health care. Meanwhile, in the United States, spending has come close to 18% of gross domestic product. And that's more than in any country in the world, and it ranks number 12 in life expectancy among the 12 wealthiest industrialized countries, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. That means that the so-called greatest country in the world is at the bottom. So the World Health Organization also criticized Amnesty International for an outdated and factually inaccurate report that described barely functioning hospitals in North Korea. So it wasn't true, and the World Health Organization called Amnesty out. Pyongyang Maternity Hospital and North Pyongyang Provincial Maternity Hospital were both awarded plaques, declaring them baby-friendly hospitals in 2009 by UNICEF in the Thailand office for attaining all 10 targets of breastfeeding set by the World Health Organization and UNICEF. Mothers typically stay for 10 days in the hospital after giving birth. 10 days. Yeah. Nowadays, it's like a 1 day and you're out. Yeah. And those who give birth through a cesarean section stay for 15 days. Mothers of triplets are hospitalized until the smallest child weighs at least 13 pounds. So the child has to more than double in size at least before the mother is allowed to leave the hospital. So Kim Jong-il decided to build this Pyongyang Maternity Hospital, which is one of many in the country, in 1978, because it was rumored that he wished no more women die because of pregnancy complications, because that's how his own mother died. Kim Jong-un decided in 2012 to build an additional wing onto that hospital to treat women with breast cancer because his own mother had died of breast cancer. North Korea, may not be a place that you want to live or that I want to live, but it's clearly doing what it takes with the resource that it has, and in the face of all the sanctions and the violence against it. So, it doesn't really matter what our opinion is on the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. We don't live there. It's not on us to decide. What really matters is that we defend the Korean people's right to determine the fate of their peninsula, because a threat of invasion by the U.S. military and its allies on behalf of the global ruling class anywhere in the world against oppressed peoples is a threat of invasion, and exploitation anywhere. So it doesn't matter that's happening over there in North Korea. It's going to affect us as working people in this country and everywhere else. So the only thing I have to ask is, why do we have to like the way other people live? And that's it.